And I also work with our elementary team of kindergarten teachers. So tonight we wanted to present to you some readiness information as we prepare for your registration process, taking you through how you're going to get your student registered, and then also talking about some exciting events where you will get to come and meet some of our staff, visit your buildings, and that will be coming in May. So we're going to first take you through some readiness as well as how to start the registration process. Ashlyn, if you can turn. All right, and we're going to show just a snippet of our district and some of the highlights that we have to offer.
Here's to the 6,122 kindergartners, elementary students, middle schoolers, and 9th through 12th graders who arrive at Anchor Bay each morning, ready to learn. And here's to the 305 teachers, coaches, and staff who are already here getting ready to help their students succeed again today. Because at Anchor Bay Schools, our goal is to help our students reach theirs.
Okay, we can move on, Ashlyn. All right, well, we know that a number of you are familiar with us and have other students in our district, and we welcome you. And we also welcome those that are just entering Anchor Bay. We wanted to provide just a few highlights of our district. We really take pride in our highly qualified staff. We're also ranked as one of the top ranked within the county, and all of our schools are accredited, which means we do go through an accreditation process. Ashlyn? Thank you. Some of our points of excellence is we have an award-winning instrumental program, very strong athletics, and a very extensive early childhood program, which many of you are probably coming from as you enter kindergarten. Some of the elementary highlights, for those of you that are not familiar, our M-STEP scores are highly ranked amongst the county. We always kind of rank in our top 5, and that's in all 3 subject areas. And as your students join us, they'll be participating in a wide array of curriculum that also involves STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. They'll have the opportunity to participate in literacy and in math support services. And we also offer a wide array of extracurricular activities. So how do you register for kindergarten? And that is the purpose of tonight, to give you a little bit of that general information and get you ready. Our registration process is going to be online, and that will be available live starting on March 10th. All of this information will constantly stay updated on the Anchor Bay website, but on March 10th, that live link will be available for you. And that will simply be a click. You will then register at your home building. So wherever you reside, you will begin to start that process by entering your home school. If you have any questions on that, you can always reach out to any of the buildings, or we will have a link on the website as well, where you can simply add your address in, and it will let you know what home building you should register for. So that will begin the registration process and start your journey with us. The registration information, there will be all online. So you will be putting things in online, and it will ask you to submit some documents. If you're comfortable with that submission, there will be tools and tricks on how to do that just via the online service. But also we will be offering an evening where if you need to drop off documents, you will be able to bring those documents in. Things that you're going to want to have available is obviously filling out the enrollment forms, having your immunization records, and your birth certificate, as well as photo identification. There will also be some information in there regarding a home language survey, vision and hearing, things like that. We do ask, and we highly encourage our families to get as much of the enrollment process in as soon as possible. We know that you may not have all of your immunization records or hearing and vision up to date. We will take those as you get them, but we do encourage you to try to begin that process close to that March 10th date. The great thing about Anchor Bay is we're very unique in taking all of our developmental needs into consideration. So here at Anchor Bay, we do offer 3 kindergarten options. We have our full day kindergarten. We also offer a district half-day kindergarten, as well as young fives. And some differences about those programs is our young fives is a great opportunity for children who have an early birth date. Those would be children who have birth dates falling within the months of June and December. Kindergarten eligibility within the state of Michigan are students who are 5 years old on or before September 1st. So if you have a later birthday, it does require a waiver process. So that is where that Young Fives program caters to those individuals. The half-day program are for parents who aren't quite sure that their child may have the stamina for full day. So we'd like to offer that. As you exit half-day at the end of that year, you will have the option to go on to first grade if you feel that you're ready and your child is ready, or you will also have the option at that time to go into full day. So we like to view our half-day program as a stepping stone, kind of meeting the needs of all of our developmental students out there. Next slide, please. Transportation. Transportation is available for all kindergarten students who reside within our district, in our busing areas. I know there is always a question, many of us, as you register your student maybe for the first time, if you need an alternate, maybe your transportation is not going to come to your home if you have a babysitter or a grandparent where the child will be coming from, there will be information on how to figure out alternate bus arrangements, and we can take you through that process as needed. Next slide, please. We do have support services in place, students who may need additional interventions or guidance. We have speech and language therapists at all of our building. We also follow what's called the MTSS process. And what that is we like to provide every student with multiple tiered supports. If they need support with a social worker, a psychologist, a teacher consultant, or one of our literacy or math specialists. One of the other services that many of you have already accessed is our early childhood special education. And we did provide the information on this PowerPoint if you have any questions regarding early childhood special education. The other person that we've noted here is contact Carol O'Shea. She is our early childhood director, and she runs the Blossoming 4 program, which feeds into many of our kindergarten programs. Next slide. So what will your child learn in kindergarten? Your child will experience all of the core curriculum. So they will be participating in reading, math, science, writing, and social studies. On top of those core curriculum concepts, they'll also have the opportunity to visit other classrooms throughout their week here at school. And this is in all of our programs. If your child is in Young Fives, half day, or full day, they will still experience all of these same courses. So your child will have the opportunity to visit STEM and computers. They will have physical education or gym, social interaction time, and that can be found in art as well as in music. Next slide, please. A lot of parents question, what are the readiness skills? And right now, we really want to communicate this out to our families so you have an idea prior to stepping foot into the buildings, what are those skills to make my child as successful as possible? We like to provide this information as early on as we can so that you do have the summer months to work on things and also to utilize different skills on a regular daily practice. So some of the things we talk about is, can your child recognize and print their name? Have they had the time to use scissors and crayons and pencils? Do they know the capital letters or what we call the uppercase letters? Much of our kindergarten program, especially our all-day kindergarten program, is really going to focus on those lowercase letters, working on sounds and beginning to do some reading and writing. So a lot of these readiness skills are also good things for you to review as you're thinking about what is the best placement for my child moving forward. We also like that your child understands what a rhyming word is. Have they heard rhymes? Do they understand those? Can they recite the alphabet? Most importantly, we always look at the developmental needs of our students. Do they have the stamina, the socialization skills, and the ability to sit attentively and listen to a story? Identifying and sequencing and writing numbers. We do cover a lot of numbers. We go all the way up to 100 as we count, but being able to recognize and write numbers 1 through 10, understanding and demonstrating some counting skills, recognizing shapes, and beginning to get familiar with parts of a book. Also, being able to use the bathroom independently and have some of those self-help skills. Now, some of these readiness skills may sound a little high or may sound a little low, dependent upon your child. But that's the beauty of Anchor Bay and why we offer 3 unique programs to meet the needs of all of our students coming in. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over. We have 3 kindergarten teachers with us tonight, and they're going to share some information on some key skills. One of the key skills that we look at is fine motor development and making sure that your children has had some of these experiences. And how can you help as a parent foster those skills before they enter our kindergarten doors? So I'm going to turn it over to Sandy Davis, who is a kindergarten teacher within the district. Mrs. Davis, if you can just unmute yourself for us.
Yes, thank you. So today I'm going to speak about fine motor skills and the importance of fine motor skill development. As we were talking about in kindergarten, we're going to be doing a lot of activities that involve writing. We're going to be doing a lot of activities that involve cutting and coloring. So that all impacted by your fine motor development. So fine motor skills are basically the skills that the muscles that we find in your hands, your fingers, and your wrist. So a child that is maybe struggling with fine motor development will fatigue very easily when it comes to these writing and paper and pencil type of activities that we're going to do in the classroom. The good thing is that there's a lot of fun activities you can do that can help strengthen and build up those fine motor abilities. So we're going to go over some of those with you today too. So in other words, fine motor development is going to be, again, those muscles that we're going to use for writing. So if a child is having a problem with maybe their scissor grip or their pencil grip, there are some things that we can do to help them with that. I'll start with scissor grip first. So when we're looking at the kids and how they're going to be holding their scissors, typically you're going to see a smaller hole at the top of the scissors and then a bigger placement for their fingers. You want to make sure that the thumb is in the top hole and it's facing the ceiling, and then their fingers are in the larger area. One of the things that we can do is we want to always make sure that they're cutting away from their body and that their other hand is holding their paper to guide them. So if a child is struggling with that, some things that you could do is just, again, encourage them to put their thumb in the top hole and facing the ceiling, but they can also slide out their index finger. And sometimes that gives them a little more support when they're doing those cutting skills. One of the fun things that they like to do to actually help with those fine motor activities is just if you take a strip of paper and where it's only like 1 snip or maybe 2 snips, and you put a bowl in front of them and let them just practice cutting, again, 1 or 2 snips. And then eventually they can build on where they can cut for a longer period of time. And you can maybe draw a shape on a paper and they can cut the shape out, maybe a circle or a square. And that helps build their ability to use the scissors. Plus also they get good practice on using their other hand that helps them with holding of the paper. The other thing is their pencil grip. We are seeing more and more kids that are coming into kindergarten with having a weakness in their pencil grip. Some kids are continuing to come in with what we call like a fist grip, where they're holding their pencil completely or crayons in a fist. And what we're finding is that once they've developed those habits, just like any habit that's maybe a bad habit, it can be very difficult to try and break that habit. So the sooner we can do that, it's going to be better for your child. Luckily, there are some things that we can do to help your child with their pencil grip. Commercially, there is a lot of different types of pencil grips on the market, and I brought a couple today to show you. This one, for example, just has a spot for the index finger and the thumb, and then the pencil slides through that. So that is automatically getting your child to use that pincher part at the pencil, and then it will rest on your middle finger. There's also one called a writing claw, where there's now a spot for the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger, and it slides right on your pencil. There's also some that are just a triangular shape that you can purchase. And there is some that look like this, is a little chunkier, and it has an indentation for your finger and your thumb. But you don't actually even have to have pencil grips. One thing I try and do sometimes with kids too, is I'm finding that they like to rest their pencil maybe on their ring finger or their pinky. So we want those fingers to be tucked down where they're concentrating just on their middle, their index finger, and their thumb. So just taking a puff ball or a cotton ball and having them hold that with their ring finger and their pinky. Now those fingers are busy, and then they can use a proper grip when they're starting to use their pencil and crayons. As I mentioned, a good thing is that fine motor development is really fun. The activities are, the kids love them. And even if your child has strong fine motor ability, they still love doing these activities. So some activities that we use to help with fine motor development would be like using Play-Doh. Just the rolling of the Play-Doh into a ball or a snake and then cutting it up with scissors. Just the squeezing of the Play-Doh is really great for that fine motor muscle building activities. Lacing activities, if you take like a pipe cleaner or shoelace and you have them put beads on that shoelace or cereal or noodles, anything that you have around the house. I also like to use tweezer activities in the classroom, and at the dollar store, there's a lot of different types of tweezers that you can find, and they pick up different objects and they're moving them from one place to another. Clothespins are great too, chip clips, things like that. Any type of paper cutting, or even if they take their hands and they're ripping the paper shredding is really great fine motor development also. And again, coloring. Coloring, we can't say enough about using crayons and doing coloring. That really helps build those fine motor activities. The great thing is most of these things you would have at home or you can readily get at a dollar store. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just try and just be creative, change the tool for your child. One day, let them write with a pencil. Another day, maybe a highlighter or a marker. Sometimes just changing the tool, using a sticky note instead of a piece of paper, that just builds up their engagement. And as kindergarten teachers, that's really all we're trying to do too, is we just try and make it fun, make all the learning exciting for them. And we just continually change the tools that they're using to help improve their skills. I'm going to turn it now over to Mrs. Hunt, and she's going to speak to you about language arts.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Hunt, and a big part of the kindergarten day involves language arts. It encompasses a variety of components, and so I want to go through and just describe a little bit of each of the components. The first part is listening, and that is can children follow directions? And a lot of times you might give your child a one-step direction, but by the time we're done in kindergarten, children are following multi-step directions. So you want to make sure when we're in school that they are following the directions and in the order that they were given. Are they able to listen and then ask appropriate questions about what was said to them? Do their questions make sense in a conversation? And listening and responding in large and small groups. So when they're with a group, whether it's the whole class, a small group, can they listen without interrupting and take turns and know when it's time to be the listener and when it is the speaker? Which moves us on to speaking. We work in kindergarten on speaking in complete sentences, not just one or two word answers, but thinking about what has been said and making sure your sentence makes sense and that you're talking in a voice that is loud enough for everybody to hear you. We do a lot of like mini presentations such as show and tell. You know, the child stands up in front of a group. They can talk about
whatever they have brought to share with the class. They want to make sure they're talking in complete sentences, describing what they have. And we also do little mini presentations, like we just had the 100th day of school where the kids made a project. They were able to stand in front of the class and describe their project to the rest of the class. And we want to make sure that when they're speaking, that they remain focused on what they're talking about, that they're not wandering to something else. They're staying on the topic at hand. Another component of language arts is handwriting, and we do a lot of printing in our classroom. And we like Miss Davis just talked about, we work on holding our pencil correctly, forming the letters correctly, uppercase and lowercase, starting at the top line and writing neatly, leaving spaces between words when we're writing words, and moving from left to right when we are writing. And then the next section is reading genres. We are always reading in kindergarten, and hopefully you are always reading at home as well. And we cover a variety of genres, concept books, picture books, environmental text, nursery rhymes. We've been talking about, for March's Reading Month, fun fantasy books or informational things telling us true information. So we do encompass a variety of genres in our reading. And then the next section is phonics. We have a phonics program called the Phonics Units of Study by Lucy Calkins, and that is, it actually incorporates a lot of our phonics, our reading, our spelling, our writing all together in this program. We work on CVC words, which are consonant, vowel, consonant words, words like pig, dad, sit. In this program, we are also, we are introduced to 54 snap words. They're your basic sight words. We call them snap words because they have to read them in a snap. And by the end of the year, they are expected to read and write at least 40 of those words independently. In this program, we also talk about 15 different word families. So we're talking about word parts, like taking the word part ugh, ugh, and putting a consonant at the beginning to make new words like bug, rug, tug, and using sounds and patterns to read and write words. And then also, using picture clues when needed. But all of the knowledge of the letters and sounds we are putting together so that we are learning to read and write these words. Which moves us into the spelling section. Again, like I said, that is kind of encompassed in our phonics program. We are introduced to the 54 words. They need to read at least 40 by the end of the year, but we are introduced to 54 words, and the kids really are doing a great job of reading those words. And they have to rely on beginning and ending sounds, try to figure out those vowels in the middle. And then we also use word walls, and we have some word tests to help us with our reading and spelling of words. And then the next section takes us into writing, which kindergarten is definitely different. Years ago, we were just introducing what are letters, what sounds do they make. By the time kindergartners are done at the end of kindergarten, they have to be able to write completely independently. And throughout the year, we're practicing different types of writing, personal narratives, things about ourselves, stories that we can tell you about, and also informational pieces like things that are true. But at the end of the year, they'll be given a topic, and they have to write 3 related sentences about that topic. And when they're writing their sentences, they have to think, okay, what do I want to say? How am I going to say that sentence? What words make up those sentences? What sounds make up those words? So definitely we need to encompass all of the different parts of the language arts and put it together so that they're able to do that, because they're doing that completely by themselves. And their words may not all be spelled correctly at the end of the year, but they will have enough knowledge of the letters and their sounds that you would be able to pick up their piece of writing and figure out what it says. And that brings us to the next slide, which is our biggest component of language arts, which is reading throughout the year. And again, like I was saying, our reading and writing is really intermixed throughout the day. And again, you'll see the 40 sight words. So we'll be introduced to 54, but they need to be able to read 40 by the end of the year. And then they will be expected to read a DRA level 4 book independently, which I know that doesn't mean a lot to many people, but basically they'll be given a book and they'll have enough knowledge in there. There'll be their snap words. There'll be word parts like their word family words. But then there will also be unknown words, but the children will have enough knowledge of letters and sounds to figure out what they say. And they'll have to be able to read that story at the end of the year and also give a retelling. Not only do they have to read the words, they have to be able to tell us what was the story about, and then try to relate it to their life. What did it remind them of in their life? So as you can see, kindergarten has changed since many of us went to kindergarten. Like I said earlier, we used to teach the letters when they walked in the door for kindergarten. And now that's really an expectation that they know that when they walk in the door, because we're building on it. Everything that we do in kindergarten is the foundation. It's not anymore like, oh, it's just kindergarten. We're now that is the foundation of everything they build on for first grade, second grade, through their entire academic career. So if they don't know their letters and sounds, how can we get there? So that this, if I had to tell you one tool to have, I would suggest having a set of letters. It could be just a set of like magnetic ABC letters that you can get from the dollar store. Or if you don't have those, you could make your own set. This is just an index card cut up. And the letters, I have uppercase on the front, lowercase on the back. I would suggest those because you can do a variety of things with them. You can use them to identify letters. And once your children have those letters identified, you can start playing games with them. Like which word do you see starts like b, or I'm sorry, which letter starts like b, bat, and they can find the letter. You can use them to manipulate as the year goes on to help spell words. We use them in our classroom all the time, like with our word families that we're using. Like I gave the example of the UG, like I'll have kids at the table and they'll have the UG and they can manipulate the letters to put different letters in front to help write new words to practice reading. So if you purchased one thing, that's what I would suggest. And like I said, you can get it at the dollar store. It is super important that they do know their letters walking in because we do build on it right away. At the end of this presentation, there will be a link with some videos that will give you some more ideas of a variety of things that you can do with your child to help them to be ready for kindergarten, to walk in the door. My most important information I would say to you is keep your sessions short. Keep it fun. If it's fun, then your child's not going to realize that they're practicing things and they'll want to do it. And the more that they want to do it, the more that they'll actually learn. So read to your child, practice your letters, and get ready for kindergarten. And next, Mrs. McClellan is going to tell you about math.
Hi, I'm Mrs. McClelland. I am one of the kindergarten teachers over at McCants Elementary. I'm going to go through this math throughout the year slide with you. For number sense, students throughout the year will be able to count to 100 by ones, tens, and fives. They should be able to recognize numbers 0 through 20 by the end of the year. That's why having a base knowledge of numbers 0 through 10 coming into kindergarten is very helpful. We will be able to write numbers 0 through 20. Students can use objects to make sets of a given number up to 20, developing an understanding of what it means to be equal to another number, greater than or less than. And we will be using place value skills to represent numbers 0 through 20. For patterning, students will be able to create describe and extend geometric shapes, the circle, triangle, square, rectangle, and hexagon. We will also be working on three-dimensional objects, a cone, cube, sphere, and cylinder. Students can build and draw shapes and use simple shapes to create larger shapes. For graphing, we will be working on students creating concrete and picture graphs. Those can either be physically done, let's say we're studying apples, we can graph our favorite kind of apple by actually taking that color apple and putting it in a big graph on the floor, and then creating that in picture form up on the board. So we can look at data and talk about which group is more or greater than or less than. Counting objects in the graphs. Measurements, we'll be using non-standard measurements. So a lot of times in kindergarten, we use things like connecting cubes or links to measure different things around the classroom or measuring ourselves, and using the vocabulary of heavier, lighter, longer, shorter. Students will be able to identify time to the nearest hour and identify coins and their values. For computation, we will be working on simple addition and subtraction number problems within the number 10 and using strategies to fluently add and subtract within 5. So we will be working on all different strategies like using pictures, using manipulatives such as cubes or links, or even just, their markers to answer simple math problems within 5. If I could suggest anything to have and work on over the summer, I'm just gonna suggest a simple bag of Fruit Loops. You can do so many different things with Fruit Loops, as far as you can sort them into color categories and then you can count them. You can graph them by lining them up into a little line and looking at which one has more, which one has less. You can use it could be a fine motor activity where you can use tweezers to pick them up or just lacing them on a piece of string. So Fruit Loops, they're not only tasty, but you can use them for a lot of different things for math. I would like to just point out again that all of us, the 3 kindergarten teachers that we're talking about all the different skill areas, we do have more ideas and activities on a video that will be posted on our website tomorrow. So it's a YouTube video that we made last year, I believe, and you will be able to look at more additional ideas and activities on there for all these different skill areas.
Next slide, Ashlyn. So we are very fortunate to have a team of teachers representing our district. And again, across the district, all of our Anchor Bay kindergarten teachers do work together, hitting the same content standards. The important thing to note is the standards that we're talking about and the skills that we're talking about, we take pride in because they are aligned with the state of Michigan. So what we are teaching is alignment with the state. Now, it's a lot of information for you to process tonight, but again, that's why we do feel we're fortunate with offering 3 solid programs for your student. And when you think about your student, is my child ready for school? We really need to think about all 3 areas of their development, both socially, academically, and emotionally. So things that you want to think about when you're making that decision on, is the half day best for me, young 5s, or an all day program, is how is your child? Are they cooperative? Are they confident? Are they responsible? Are they starting to take some responsibility and some ownership for their own actions? Do they work well with others? Do they socialize? And are they ready and eager to learn what's next by being able to follow some directions and have the stamina of the day? The great thing about all of our programs is they are developmentally appropriate, meaning you heard a lot of skills, you heard a lot of academic, but when you walk into any of the kindergarten rooms across the district, what they're doing is they're having fun. They're excited, they're learning, they're engaged. It doesn't seem like work to them. They're engaged in a lot of hands-on activities, allowing them to be successful and to take the next steps as we progress them moving on. Next slide, please, Ashlyn. Okay, as a lot of our teachers mentioned, we do want to provide you with a lot of resources when you're thinking about the readiness and preparing your student for the upcoming school year. And so we will have our readiness video. It will be linked on the website. You'll be able to hit onto that link, and there's a number of different activities that we are going to share with you, some materials that you might want to get over the summer as you're preparing. But we're very eager to get you enrolled, and we're also very eager to meet you. So keep in mind again that our registration opens on March 10th. We really highly encourage you to link on and to access that link so that you can get enrolled. That's your first step. For those of you who may have difficulty with that enrollment, or maybe you do not have the technology to support it, you can reach out to our central administration office, and you will be able to enter the office at a given time, and they will help you through that registration process. So again, we do encourage you to use the link on the website starting March 10th. Again, you're going to register for your home school. And then following that registration, you will receive a personalized invitation to our May in-person session. And what that will look like is you'll be able to go to your home building. You will have a meet and greet with some of the teachers that are currently there, visit the classrooms, and take a look at your school before you start your big kindergarten adventure. So we're excited to welcome you in May. And please access that link so that we can get all of your information. For those of you who know people who are not able to attend tonight, please, share that information out, as well as know that all the information will be loaded on the website. So you can always access that. Our in-person May visits will also be added to the website shortly so that you can get those dates as well. I know Ashlyn, part of our technology team, has been managing our Zoom tonight, and we appreciate her assistance. And she does have some questions that have come through. So we're going to try to answer those tonight for you too, if you were able to put those into our chat box. Ashley?
Yes, we've got some great questions. So the first one is from Ashley. Kids who will be going to Young Fives, do they need a hearing or vision test, or is that just for kindergarten?
Right now, that is currently for all of our students who are registering. However, please keep in mind, you can register without those documents. And if you obtain that hearing and vision over the summer, you can submit those. So everything will be accessible to submit right up until day one.
Another one here, can I get a waiver for full day kindergarten if my son will be 5 on October 3rd? He is at McDonald Preschool with Miss Evelyn now, and she thinks he is ready, or will he have to do Young Fives?
So again, the waiver process is something that you will want to contact your elementary building, your home building. They will talk to you, do a phone conference with you in regards to the skills that your student is demonstrating. And then they will have that documentation should you choose to fill it out. And it does just require the administration signature on that. So that is a process you would just want to reach out to your home building to go forth with that.
Good question from Lauren. If my child is doing Young Fives, do I register at my home school? Or when will I find out which building my child will be at for Young Fives? I can speak to that. I've been involved with building the forms for our new online system. And there is a little note in there that will let you know, hey, check these buildings if you're choosing Young Fives. So when you go through that pre-registration process, that will be an option. Melissa, did you want to add anything to that?
Just currently, I know there's been some questions. Currently, Young Fives is housed in the center of our district. And right now it is housed at Ashley Elementary, the building that I am at. And then it's also housed at Lighthouse Elementary. So again, you'll just want to go through that process just to make sure that your enrollment information is in. And as Ashlyn spoke, there will be a tip on how to enroll if you're going through with Young Fives.
If I register my child for Young Fives and decide closer to fall that I'd rather have him in kindergarten, can I change to kindergarten?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a great question. We always encourage you to enroll, if you are considering Young Fives, we do like to make sure we are, filling the Young Fives program effectively. So making sure that our numbers are accurate. So by all means, you would want to enroll in Young Fives. And then if you did have a change, you would contact your building administrator and they would guide you through that process moving forward.
Here's a good one. It is my understanding that the Young Five program addresses the kindergarten standards. Is the only difference between Young Fives and kindergarten the rigor? Is young fives more play-based learning to address the social needs or social emotional needs of the students?
That's a great question, and I'll jump in. And my kindergarten team, feel free as well. If you ever want to jump in, please do so. But what the Young Fives program is, it's a great program because it helps to lay the foundation. So yes, we have the kindergarten curriculum in our mindset, but the standard is not that they master that kindergarten curriculum, because following Young Fives is they will be moving in to kindergarten. So yes, it is developmentally more appropriate. The timing that they spend in each activity is a little lessened. There is some play, there is a lot of hands-on, and we're taking into account the social and emotional needs of those children as well, and then building a very strong foundation so that they are very successful when they go into the all-day kindergarten program that following year.
I can answer this one. Where can I find out what our home school is? So when you go to pre-register, there will be instructions on how to use a website that will be on the Anchor Bay website. It's called Find My School, and it's pretty easy. You just type in your address and it will tell you which school is your home building. So that will kind of eliminate any guesswork there. The next one, my child is currently in GSRP. His teacher mentioned as of this time in the course, she would recommend Young Fives. However, once looking into it and talking with the office, they noted he would not be eligible as he turned in, sorry, it's a long one, turned 5 in February. Okay, so the question is, if he's needing extra help, can he just start kindergarten? Sorry, there's quite a bit here.
I can kind of jump in a little bit, Ashley.
I want to kind of read through it. Yeah.
Sure. It sounds to me as if you're questioning if we could do Young Fives. However, his birth date is later than December. And unfortunately not. We do follow the guidelines by the state as far as birth date regulations. So that's something that definitely reach out to your home building and they can guide you. We do have all-day pre-K programs. Different options for you to meet the needs of your student, but our birth date regulation is depicted by the state.
Hopefully that answered your question, Natalie. If not, feel free to type something else into the chat.
Sure.
Nicole is asking, what are the times for school start and end times?
Okay, so currently the start and end times of our all-day school are 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. There's a couple little given minutes in between there, but that is our all-day school, and the district is unified on that. So all buildings have the same.
How are food allergies handled?
Great question. Food allergies are highly taken into account. There is medical forms that you will fill out at your home building office. And a set of guidelines, and then that is communicated to the classroom as well as to the building. So all of our buildings do house allergy-free zones for lunch and things like that, and the specifications can be provided to you at your building, but there is medical documentation that you'd want to fill out as well.
All right, from Kate, how does drop-off/pickup work at the elementary schools? Are parents allowed in the building, or is it outside drop-off only?
I am going to kind of speak, as currently, as we are right now, the drop-off and pickup is normally right at that kindergarten door, and they are always accompanied directly by a teacher or a paraprofessional who works in the kindergarten field. So they are never waiting alone by any means. They're walked right to the door, and then that kindergarten teacher is there to meet them, or that kindergarten paraprofessional is there to meet them to take them directly to their class. So parents would just be able to pull up or walk their child right to that given area. I know a lot of you have busers. The other thing to keep in mind is students do not enter and exit the bus alone. They are walked to and from the bus, making sure and ensuring their safety before boarding and when they come to school and arriving to their classroom.
From Lisa, if I am doing school of choice, can I still register on March 10th? My address is for L'Anse Creuse schools.
Absolutely. There will be some school of choice paperwork that you'll want to file And then we like to get that processed as soon as possible. Just keep an eye out on our webpage for that information. And if you do not see anything coming, you can always reach out to my building, which is Ashley Elementary, and we'll be happy to kind of help guide you through that process.
From Deborah, my daughter's mom is deaf. Are there any other parents that are deaf in the school district?
You know, absolutely. We can always, again, you know, I hate to sound redundant, but please, with those specifics, if you reach out to your home building, they will definitely, we have a lot of different network sources that we can put you in contact with. So dependent upon what your home school is, please reach out to that administrator to help guide you.
Okay, this one may be specific as well, Melissa, but our son has celiac disease. Does the school provide gluten-free lunches?
Yes, there are our food service, which all of the students who are in all-day kindergarten will have lunch with us. And our food service department does have medical forms, and they do provide lunch according to the needs of the students.
For registration, do you need original documents or copies?
As of right now, you'll be able to upload copies of that information. If anything specific is needed, they would reach out to you.
Yeah, I can add to that, Melissa. I know that
Yes.
you can expect to hear from your home school. They'll reach out, and the kinds of things they're going to ask for, original birth certificate, you know, things like that. So at some point you will have to provide that original, but there is that option to upload a copy in the system. Do your kindergarten students use iPads as their form of technology, or should I start getting my children used to a Chromebook?
That's an excellent question. And I can see a lot of my kindergarten teachers nodding their head at that. So our students do, they do use both forms of technology. However, on our standardized tests that our students do participate in, they are using a keyboard and a mouse, and they are on either a Chromebook or a PC computer. So we do encourage students to get familiar with keyboard or with a mouse, because several of them are so used to the touch screens as well. But they do experience both. iPads are used in our STEM class, but for standardized testing, they will be using keyboard and mice.
Yeah, and I can kind of jump in on that. Just a
Sure.
suggestion, if you do happen to get a Chromebook, I know it's really useful for those kindergarten students if you have, you know, an external mouse. You know, using the touchpad can be kind of difficult, even for me. So for kindergartners, that's always a struggle. So just a side note that some of our buildings do have those, and they do come in handy. Let's see. My son is currently enrolled in Young Fives at Lighthouse. Will I have to register him again for full day kindergarten at his home school of Great Oaks?
No, what you will do is they will probably reach out to you just in regards to your home building. However, if you are already currently enrolled in Young Fives, those students will simply be shifted right into our kindergarten program. So it will not require a second registration. Very good question.
Here's another good question. Is there any parent involvement allowed in the classroom? Would I be able to volunteer some time in the classes?
Absolutely. Excellent question. We love parent volunteers, and we always have encouraged our parents to partner with our school. Right now, obviously, we are following our safeguards and our COVID protocols, even as we are in a transition. So we're hopeful to have our parents in, you know, again. However, we do provide a lot of partnerships and communications right now, even though our parents are not in the classrooms. But again, keep in mind, our May visit is happening in person, which we're very excited about. And then we're hoping as the year begins that we will be in that mode where we'll be welcoming our volunteers back, because that is a normal practice of anchor-based schools.
Got a good question about school of choice here, Melissa.
Sure.
Homeschool is Lottie, but my third grader is at Great Oaks. We were told when applying for school of choice 4 years ago that younger siblings would be automatically accepted to Great Oaks now. Is that considered, is Great Oaks now considered my homeschool?
So that's an excellent question. Your home school is always still the school where your address resides. Even if you were grandfathered into that school of choice process, you're still going to have to enroll in that home address, just because that allocates exactly where you're coming from. And then again, you would be speaking to your building administrator, and school of choice information would all come up, even if you're currently a school of choice family. I don't think you have anything to worry about, but definitely the enrollment process is going to require your home address.
What time are half-day drop-off and pickup?
Very good. Very good question. So our half-day pickup right now is 12:16. And then our start time is the same. So currently, and this is always based on enrollment. Excellent question. Currently, we have one half-day session that is in the morning. However, in years past, depending on the number of students that enroll in half-day, we have offered a morning session as well as an afternoon session. So those times do vary, but it's usually right all around lunchtime is when they would be dismissed.
My son is currently in young fives. Do I need to register him for kindergarten at his home school?
No, once again, those young five students will automatically be right enrolled into the process. So the only thing is somebody may reach out to you in regard to asking you, about returning to your homeschool, but there's nothing you need to do. If you are an Anchor Bay student and you're in our Young Fives program, you will automatically be enrolled into kindergarten.
Is the May event an evening event?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's an after-school event. It's always optional. You'll receive a personalized invitation once you're registered, and then information will be uploaded to the website in regards to that.
As for busing, if my son is in young fives, will he be riding the bus as our neighbors, or will a bus for him be different because he's in young fives?
Excellent question. So young five students within the district do receive busing, young fives as well as half day. However, it just depends on the allocation of the school. So currently young fives is allocated for Ashley and Lighthouse. That's where it resides now. So depending on where you live in the district, if that bus is going to Great Oaks, then you would be on a bus, that's going to bring the young fives in. So you would be with young five students.
Does the summer program cost additional money?
I can't really speak on that exactly at this point, but summer information will be up in April. So you'll be able to see the summer program and the way that that's laid out. Normally it runs through our Macomb County ISD. So more information to come on that will be available in April.
What software requirements do we need for our laptops, such as Google Classroom, etc.? I think we can both kind of speak to this one, Melissa.
Go right ahead, Ashley.
Well, I know we don't use Google Classroom. We use Schoology in the district, and most of what we use is web-based. So not a lot of worries about software, anything you need to install. Although there are certain classrooms that might use something specific, but we can always support you with that from the technology department. Is there a mechanism to roll over GSRP at Sugarbush to her kindergarten program? We're at Lottie Schmidt.
All of those children that are currently enrolled in an Anchor Bay program will automatically shift over. However, you will want to contact your home building to make sure that information is being processed.
When will school choice registration be available, and when will registration for SAC be available?
Summer SAC registration becomes available quite quickly. That's usually the beginning of May, if not the end of April. And then right in the beginning of summer is when SAC enrollment will begin for the fall. So you'll get information on that. We'll continuously provide all of our new families with updated information for that. Was there a second part to that, Ashlyn, that I missed?
No, I think you
Okay.
covered it.
Okay.
For young fives, are we able to use the SAC program? And if so, when will we know what school will we be at? That's Lighthouse and Ashley. I can answer that part. Will they be, so basically, will young fives be able to do SAC?
Yes, yes, they can.
Okay. What will the classroom sizes be like?
Great question. We always take that into account. We want to make sure that our students, all of their needs are being met. So we always follow the state guidelines and we aim to be less than what those guidelines are. Currently, a lot of our classrooms are at maybe 20 students, anywhere between 20, 22 students. Some are a little bit heavier. It just depends on enrollment, but we do aim to keep a lower class size. I can speak, let me jump in real quick though. I can speak that our young fives in our half-day program have a lower threshold. Those classes usually are 18 or under.
Are there any summer camps to the district for children going into kindergarten?
Yes, there are. Great question. We always have Get Ready for K or Jump into K, and that information will be sent out. It'll also be on our website. Again, usually the end of April or beginning of May when we start to put all of our summer programs out.
Is young fives a full day or half day?
Young fives is a full day. And one important thing I should note with young fives as well as half day, that has a classroom teacher as well as a paraprofessional in the classroom. So there are 2 adults in those classrooms meeting the needs of those students.
What are the hours for SAC?
You know, I can't really speak on that because it is run by another director, but I do believe I want to say it's 5:30 that it opens, and I believe it ends at 6. But more information can be available if you access SAC or the Early Childhood Center on our website.
Oh, this is actually an interesting question. For the Young Fives program, how do you determine if the child will attend Ashley or Lighthouse?
Great question. That usually goes through our transportation department. We do try to, if your home school is going to be Ashley or your home school is going to be Lighthouse, 99.9% of the time you will be within the building you will continue to stay at. However, if you're young fives and you're coming from Great Oaks, it's based on transportation. We do take pride in lumping our students or grouping our students with friends they will be carrying on with to the next building. So we do it by building so that they do have a cohort as they move on.
Natalie, she had asked a question earlier and I think she circled back. If a child is 5 before June 1st, as Young Five states, are they still eligible for Young Fives? If not, will there be extra help for a child not already meeting the requirements for kindergarten?
Yes, you are always, if you don't feel that your child is ready for kindergarten, but they're not within that Young Five birth date, there's always room for us to, make those accommodations. You just have to contact your administrator and they can kind of guide you through that process. I'm always available at Ashley Elementary if you have any questions as well in regards to registration or what program fits best. I'm happy to answer those for you.
Which building currently has half-day kindergarten? I think that's you, Melissa, over at Ashley.
It is. We have a lot of littles here. We do have the Young Fives as well as the half-day program.
All right, sorry if I missed it, but what is the class size limit for the kindergarten classroom?
The class size limit, was that Ashlyn? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the size limit for kindergarten classes.
They are under 25 and that would be the cap, but we stay underneath that number.
All right, looks like we got another one here. Is the half-day program offered at Naldrit?
Right now, the half-day program, it resides at Ashley and it is a district program. So you do get transportation from whatever building you're coming from, but Ashley is the building that houses it currently for this year.
Okay, when you say administration, I would be talking to principals or kindergarten teachers at my home school.
Great question. You can just reach out right to your office of your home school. And if you do have any questions, I'm always available as well. And I'm at Ashley Elementary if you have questions.
Looks like there's one more. We have so many great questions tonight. My daughter is young fives now at a different district. She knows all her letters and sounds. She's also scored in kindergarten level for NWEA. Would it be better for her to go to first grade?
Normally, when you're exiting a young fives program, the recommendation and the guidelines within Anchor Bay School District is following young fives, you would go to kindergarten because we know our program is really building those foundational skills. However, if you have specifications, again, you can reach out. And I would also ask for advisement within the school that you reside.
We decided to go school of choice. When will we know the final decision? So that's actually something I want to jump in on with this new enrollment process. Just talking about enrolling when you're not a current Anchor Bay student, you fill out that information on our website, and it could take up to a week for central office to review that information, and you'll either be approved or denied, and you will be informed either way, but it could take up to a week. And then at that point, you will be given instructions via email to set up a parent account. So you'll be able to log in and fill out additional information like school of choice. And then that determination will be made at that point. So it is a bit of a process. So I just wanted to make sure we let you know that. Is there a specific time the link goes live on the 10th? That I don't know, Melissa, do you?
Well, I love the eagerness. I have to say that. But we are hoping that it will be up at the start of the day. Yes.
12:01 on that day.
There we go. We'll have Ashlyn in technology make sure that happens for everyone.
What are the in-district preschool options that flow into the kindergarten programs?
So there are a number of those out of the Early Childhood Center. We do have Blossoming Fours. We have an all-day pre-K, a half-day pre-K, GSRP, many options. And I would guide you to Carol O'Shea, who is the director of the Early Childhood Department. You can access her contact information on our Anchor Bay website.
All right, and we've reached the end for questions in the chat. We had a lot of good questions tonight.
Yes, we just want to thank everyone for joining us. We find that this night is very informative and hopefully you found it useful. Please always feel free to access us with any questions. We want to be there to assist you. We want this to be a smooth transition, and we love getting our new TARs into our building. So we're excited to have a new group of kindergartners coming. Please make sure that you are able to access the enrollment as soon as possible when it becomes live, as well as look for our May in-person session where you'll be able to visit your building and have a meet and greet with the kindergarten teachers that are currently there. So we thank you for joining us. Feel free always to reach out with any further questions, concerns, or comments for us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great job, guys.
And just so everyone knows, this recording will be posted on the website. So if you need to reference it, it'll be there tomorrow.